Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here, and you are tuned in for more of my two cents, where we dive into the realms of religion and deconstruction. Now, if you're joining me today, hopefully you're ready to dive into some thought-provoking topics that are going to explore the intricate details and belief systems that challenge some of our conventional thinking, and we're going to unravel the layers of faith, doubt, and discovery. Now, through open discussions and insightful explorations and dialogues, we're going to navigate the complexities of deconstruction in various religious contexts and understanding, because I'm all about making sure that we get what we need to from these conversations. All right. So, whether you're questioning, seeking, or simply curious, this channel is a sanctuary for exploring the intersections of spirituality and self discovery. So, let's embark on this transformative journey together. But before we do that, there are 3 points that matter most before I start any discussion or dialogue. Number one, you're not alone. Number two, you're not crazy. And number three, God, your creator, so loves you, and I do too. If you are new to the channel, then welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you will click around, stick around, enjoy the discussion, and you will join the channel by subscribing. Like the video, comment below and let me know what you think about today's topic, or if there is another topic you would like for me to cover or explore. We are all about learning, sharing, and growing together, and we can only do that if you participate. So this is definitely class participation. If you choose to, or if you just want to play, the background role, that's fine. I have enough words for all of us, so I will definitely cover something that you can connect with, relate to, or give some feedback on, and I love that. If you are a returning to center, then hey y'all, hey, thank y'all so much for tuning in again today. I am so excited for another amazing discussion here. We're going to get into something today that is going to be brought to you by Threads. Okay, I was scrolling through Threads and I saw this post from someone that I don't know, because Threads is great for that, getting information, different topics of conversation from people that you don't know, which I think is amazing, because sometimes you get tired of hearing from the same people who have one track mindsets and experiences. And so Thread is much like X or Twitter, and you can definitely just scroll and see insight and dialogue happening between people who just want to get thoughts off of their mind. And so today's topic is going to be one that I don't think is going to be controversial, but I think it's going to be very enlightening, because some of you don't know where some of these pastors are getting their sermons from. Oh, but you're about to F around and find out today. Okay. All right. So let's get into the post that I found that has landed us here for this video. Are pastors stealing sermons? How do we feel about pastors preaching sermons that they did not get from the Lord? How do we feel about that, people? Well, we're going to hear what happened. We're going to read what has happened to one specific person, and then read some feedback and comments, and then I'll give my 2 cents on what I think about this entire atrocity. All right, because I got something to say. So the post starts off with, about 8 years ago, we found out the pastor at the church we were attending had been plagiarizing his sermons, every word, even the personal stories he shared with us. A few months later, as I was attempting to make sense of the situation, I emailed a few local pastors and asked their thoughts on what we had experienced. One pastor replied and said that he knew the guy who had been our pastor and was aware of the situation, and that there was no excuse for that kind of behavior, and that the pastor was profoundly unqualified to pastor a congregation. The second response I got from a local pastor did a lot of equivocating about plagiarism. He said it was really hard to ask a pastor to cite all of his sources. How could he remember them all? And he said, he didn't want to be quoted. After reading his response, I was so disappointed in his inability to clearly say that the situation was wrong. I had assumed this pastor was a good guy. The church he pastored in our town was exploding with growth. That local pastor is no longer a pastor of a church near where I live. He left to take a job at a bigger church in another state. And I've been reminded lately by seeing his name all over my social media feed that I was not wrong to decide to no longer trust him, and the red flags that I noticed were real. Okay, So before we get into the comments, I want to go back through Amy's post, right, about the plagiarism that they experienced at their church with their ex-pastor. And I want to let you guys know that I myself was made aware of sermons for sale, if you will, about, I don't know, like 12, 13 years ago. And I was utterly shocked then because I was so confused. And I was still in church when I found out about this. Like, what? Pastors go online and buy sermons? What are y'all talking about? I didn't get it, but it didn't bother me because I didn't feel like my pastor was doing it. So it wasn't something that I actually dwelled on. I felt like it was more like of a joke that people actually do it than it was harmful because they do it. And I think that sometimes when you're in certain situations and you get exposed to things you've never, been exposed to, you have one or two reactions depending on what your background is. Either it offends you and bothers you, or you blow it off because you haven't had any personal experience with it. You come in to contact with the information about it, but it's like, okay, that doesn't move the goalpost on my life, in my life at all. My pastor isn't doing it that you know of, so you don't think about it. You don't really drag it out, right? You just let it roll off your back. Or you become offended by it because it's like, how could people do this? Why would anyone buy sermons? Why would any pastor be using that? You have to literally go down a rabbit hole with some people to find out why humans do what they do. Take pastor out of it and bring the human element back to it. That's what I like to constantly remind people. People have made pastors these immortal beings that can do no wrong and have no problems, and they use that scripture, touch not my anointed, do thy prophet no harm, to keep their idol protected, right? And then the pastor doesn't have to do too much windmilling because the members, the parishioners, their supporters, their peers do it for them. And then you have people like Amy who come into the realization of what's happening and is completely and utterly distraught and has to go find other people to confirm her feelings. Blows my mind that anybody would need to confirm your feelings. If you find out that your pastor is doing something that you believe is morally and integrally wrong, you choose what to do next. Why do we need two or three witnesses? Why do we need co-signers? Why do we need to rally the troops around whether or not they believe that this pastor is wrong too? You want them to go hold him accountable? That's not going to happen. It's not. As unfortunate as it may seem that he would be doing this, that he would be plagiarizing, even the stories, which I think is crazy, that you would even plagiarize personal stories. Why would you sit up there and tell stories like they're yours? That's something's wrong with you on a different level. That you can't even find your own personal stories to share, that you even share the ones that's included in the sermon you bought or stole, rather. And so I think that that is really weird, but it's also telling. And I'm going to tell you what I believe it's telling of, what it's an indication of later on. But it is very important that we recognize that Amy said the first pastor replied satisfactorily to her. It was satisfactory how he responded to her. She liked it. He's wrong. He's unqualified to pastor a congregation. Well, Amy, you know that because you've emailed other pastors or you've reached out to other pastors. You leave. You get your stuff and head out like SpongeBob. Head out, sis. What is you doing? This is another thing where people feel as if though they're indebted or they have to get clearance. They have to get approval. It has to be a sound reason to, remove themselves or to leave or to disconnect. You don't have to. You're an adult. Guess who chose to go there and sit under this pastor prior to knowing he was using other sermons? You chose that. You didn't ask nobody else, should I go to this church? Do you think God is leading me here? Have you heard from the Lord on whether or not I should go over here and visit and join and be a member and serve? You didn't ask anybody then. So why start again handing out your power for another pastor to tell you, oh no, let it go. You know, pastors are busy sometimes. Pastors are tired. They don't always get to work on a sermon. Sometimes, we just use resources from other places. When things like that start to happen, people start sticking around for more clownish activity because you didn't use the same common sense you had to go over there to leave. I don't need nobody to join in with me on whether or not I need to leave. What I feel on the inside for me, myself, and I is what I move on for me, myself, and I. You all should try it. You should definitely try it. You know how there is a retention. If you don't, there's an entire retention department for majority of the service-based companies that we all as consumers use. Your trash company has a retention department. Your cable company has a retention department. Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime, your insurance. Everybody has a retention department, baby. And even if they don't have a department, they have a retention script. They want to make sure that you don't leave. What happens? I'm typing in retention because I want to get y'all the definition so y'all understand. The continued possession, use, or control of something. My God, my God. The continued possession, use, or control of something. When you want to make sure you continue to capture someone's money, capture someone's attention, capture someone's attendance, possess someone's power, possess someone's sacrifice, possess someone's presence, possess someone's mind, retention. Pastors understand how to practice retention, just like those companies I listed. When I used to work for waste management back in the day, there was a retention department. If someone wants to cancel their waste management service and go with another provider, trash pickup provider, we would send them to retention. We would tell them, okay, we're going to put you on hold really quick. We wouldn't tell them where we were sending them. We would tell them we were sending them to another department that would be able to assist them with their cancellation, knowing good and well when they got over there, they was finna get retended. And that ain't a word. They were about to get retentioned, okay? They were not about to let them go. This looks like in different corporate settings and different business models, they even have employee retention, but there are different processes in retention. You will offer a free month, right? Try it again on us for another 30 days if they don't want you to cancel your subscription. If they don't want you to cancel your membership, they'll offer you a discount, right? You can take advantage of the next 3 months for 50% off of our highest package. They want to keep you. Oh, we'll extend your introductory rate. If you call to cancel your $19.99 subscription because it's now going up to $39.99 at the end of your special, of the end of the promo, they'll extend the promo rate to you because they want you to stay. That's retention. Imagine going to someone and telling them you have realized the error in their ways and they are going to kick into retention mode. No, don't go nowhere, baby. I had a long week. I didn't get a chance to study. Stick around. We're going to give you 50% off your salvation, your deliverance, and your healing. Yeah, it gives very much. They're going to do whatever they need to do to retain you, to continue possession, use, or control. They're not just going to let you go. So be very aware that what Amy did with this second pastor and the second response from a local pastor that started making excuses. Like, pastors cite all kinds of sources. They can't keep up with all of them. But that's the thing. That's the thing, pastor number 2. That's the thing. You can definitely use other sources. You can definitely pull inspiration and, examples and different analogies from different places. But when your message is literally from somewhere else, including the personal stories that you then customize to include you in the story, knowing well, you ain't never been in that situation. That's not your story. Now I have to start questioning, Are you getting any word from God? The answer is no. The answer is no. You're not getting a word from God, because how could the word that you're using from someone else have possibly been downloaded into you too in the same way? It wasn't. How do we know that that even resonates with the ministry, the membership in the congregation that you're leading? I've said this before and I'll continue to say it again. I think that it is so crazy to me that humans are completely fine with, church going humans, believers, Christians specifically, not specifically, but specifically, are okay with, how do I say this? With explaining away the error that pastors, that their leaders continue to make in plain sight. I don't understand how people are completely okay with that. We know what plagiarism looks like in school, in universities, at college, right? You cannot plagiarize. They have entire programs. They have all kinds of resources that they use to make sure that your is checked. Don't get me to go back to the days of citing, of putting your of citing your references at the bottom of papers. I might be triggered. The way that you have to follow certain reference formats. ABA. Like, y'all know these formats are real. And you have to type it a certain way, put the author's name a certain way with a comma and a semicolon, and put stuff in parentheses, and the name and the year and the page. Y'all, how is it that college cares about that, but people at church don't care? People in your professors in your university, they want to make sure that what you're saying is coming from your brain. And people at church don't care? Negative. Something is wrong. Something is wrong with all of the books of the Bible, all of the different stories and accounts, and you are buying sermons. You are plagiarizing sermons. Go sit down. The pulpit, the stage, it's not for you. If you can't get any message, a simple message from God, I can turn any of these videos that I've done into sermons at this point. Because it's all knowledge, it's experience, and it's the way that you convey the message that can pierce someone's, emotion, that can resonate with someone personally, authentically. And it doesn't have to be much. But that lets you know that the fruit is very low hanging. There is no pressure and there are no expectations. You just want to be talked to. Because if that's all a person needs to do is go find something to say to you versus actually feeling it and relaying it organically and naturally and transparently, that is a problem. They know that you're not connected either. Because you don't even have discernment to know this ain't real. This don't resonate. Nobody in the church can relate to this. This ain't for us in this season. Or people will sit there and know that what's being said to them ain't penetrating and making any sense, but they'll still stay because religion. I know someone right now like that, sitting under someone who talks about nothing when he gets up to preach. He talks about nothing. You hear me? He is completely ill-equipped to do what he's doing. Completely ill-equipped. But people are still sitting there listening to him every weekend because of religion. They've been going to the church for 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus years. His dad passed a couple of years ago, so they don't want to leave the ministry because they've been faithful this long. But they know what they're getting isn't enough. It's doing nothing. It's giving nothing, but they're not going to leave. So whether it's a purchased sermon or a plagiarized sermon, they couldn't care less because they are stuck. They have been retained. They have been retained. So let's get into some of these comments. We have someone here that said, I had no idea that there's a whole industry of businesses that sell sermons that pastors can subscribe to so they can browse, download, and use instead of taking the time to reflect and write their own. Found this out just a few months ago. Well, I've known about this for a while. As I told you guys, I am going to share with you some of the websites. I'm going to share the websites that are available, and you can look them up too from Google. You have Ministry Pass, okay? 75 plus years worth of content. Get sermon ideas in one app. Herd your flock by writing impactful sermons in less time with our sermon content guides, okay? That one will help you to get some sermons together, give you some sermon topics, help you with your outline. Then you have AI Assistant for pastors, sermon writing made easy. Enhance your sermon preparation without sacrificing your voice. Then you have Fiverr, 24 best sermon services to buy online. Next, you have Irresistible Church Network Store, premium sermon kits. Y'all, they have premium sermon kits. Practicing what I preach. Premium sermon kit. One part is $150. Regular price, $230, but it's on sale. You can also get a Talking Points premium sermon kit. Y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me. Mount Ararat. Mount Ararat. Ararat. Ararat Baptist Church. Purchase sermons. You can now purchase sermons via the Mount Ararat website. Just click get it now under the sermon you like to purchase. Now I'm going to click this, and I really, I really wish that I had recorded my screen here, but I'm going to read these to you guys because it is importante. Y'all know me. It is importante that we are all in this together. So on mountararat.org, you can purchase sermons. Okay. You have March 31st, 2024. You can purchase the sermons of their ministry and do with it what you will. Do whatever you want to do with it. And listen to it, take away from it, use it as your own. Use it as your own prepackaged sermons. This is on 1517.org. This is actually an article that talks about why you shouldn't purchase canned sermon series and preach them like your own. I don't get it. I don't even get why you have to have a write-up about why you shouldn't do it. sermonbox.com. Sermon series packs and church motions, church graphics, worship resources, premium sermon series. I would not be surprised if some of y'all faves are out here doing this. I wouldn't be surprised if some of y'all pastors are not out here doing this. And the thing about it is, it doesn't even matter. Even when you find out, you don't care. You don't care. And the thing about it is, for me, I feel like as it relates to why would someone do it or what is the effect of it, you think about a person that will say that they're called to do something, and then you find out that their calling actually includes a membership to sermons. What are you called to do? What are you called to do? What does that even look like? And I get it. I've been seeing a lot of the posts lately where people are talking about how difficult it is for pastors to pray for your pastors, the hurt that pastors go through, the loneliness that they feel, the weight that they feel. And I have to tell you that me personally, I am not empathetic with pastors. I'm not empathetic towards pastors. I'm empathetic towards entrepreneurs. You want to know why? Because that was an uncalculated risk that they chose to take. And there are people who become entrepreneurs every day for a variety of different reasons, because they need to, because they want to, because they can, because they choose to on the side. Those are choices. Being a pastor is also a choice, but you know what? They never say that. They always say it's a calling. It's not. And if you would just be very clear, honest, and direct, 90% of y'all were not called. And I don't know what the other 10% is. I really don't. I don't know if they're evangelists. I don't know if they're people that don't actually have churches, but I'm throwing around numbers, okay? I ain't got no statistics on who really called, because we don't really know who's called. We don't. Anybody can say it. I can say that I'm called. Called to do what? That's up to me too. That's up to me too. All of these things are self-appointed. Being an entrepreneur is self-appointed, and being a pastor is self-appointed. But y'all pastors don't want to become public speakers. They don't want to become coaches, which is entrepreneurship. They don't want to become independent people who give inspiration. They want to be pastors. They want congregations. They want to be leaders. They want to be worshiped. They want to be praised. They want to be, put on pedestals. They want to be idolized. They want to be seen. And when they get that, then they want you to in turn feel bad for them when things don't go their way. And I, for one, refuse to be a lapdog or a whooping post for your interests not panning out. I have no interest or desire in what you set out to do not working for you, and you getting upset with me as a member. You putting the blame on me as a member for not showing up or giving enough or sowing enough or bringing enough people. How are you going to put the weight of your calling on my shoulders? Y'all think that this is a call forwarding service? Y'all think that the calling on your life was sent to my phone? It was not. Y'all out here letting y'all pastors put call forwarding on your lives. Come on, somebody. Y'all are literally out here walking out the calling of your pastor with the pressure they put on you, with the expectations they set for you. But none of that is on their shoulders. All they want to be able to do is get up there and preach and teach and spew rhetoric, create bondage-based environments, and then dare you to challenge them, because then you're putting a curse on your life, allegedly. It's gaslighting at best. But when you come into the knowledge and the revelation that even they have the capacity to fail, right? To do things that are lacking integrity, of low moral standard, they should be held accountable for that. They're capable of doing it. It's not foreign. It's possible. And we have to be okay with that. So if you plagiarize and you steal a sermon or you take words from somebody else, okay, do it one time. But when we find out, don't do it again. But what does that look like if you don't truly have relationship and connection? What does that look like if you're not really speaking what thus saith the Lord to you for the people that you're leading? That's dangerous. And that's when the calling was not given to them. That's when the call was not made to them. They're call forwarding. You know what call forwarding is? Used to do it back in the day. When you have a phone number and you direct the calls to another phone number. If you're not going to be available, if you're going to be displaced, if you're not going to be home to get the call, you're going to transfer that call to another number and let that person, or if that's your other number, you'll take the call there. And that's what I mean by you're letting your pastor place their calling on you. You carry the burden of this. You make sure this flourishes and thrives and has momentum. You bring members. You pay your tithes. You struggle and sacrifice. For your calling? I think not. I opt out of all of the emails and text messages. Stop. Don't send me another one, because I'm not interested. Last comment that I'll read. How do you feel about teachers using other lesson plans? So this person asked Amy this. I guess, I don't know if they were trying to be smart or facetious or what, but Amy gave a great response. She said, do they pretend they are their own lesson plans? Do they take long paid sabbaticals saying they are working on writing these lesson plans? Is the teacher telling stories about themselves that never happened? That's what I'm talking about. Ding, 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 dong. Okay? Sis, shut that down. Don't ask me what do I think about teachers using other lesson plans. You can use other lesson plans. Oh, go ahead. It's a lesson plan, especially if it's for the same um grade level. Yeah, we can follow this lesson plan, teach this week, teach this week, review, test, da da da. Yeah, lesson plan, cool, because the coursework is the same. The information that needs to be given is the same. If you need to teach addition and subtraction, you need to teach addition and subtraction. Period. And if you want to implement the lesson or no, not the lesson, but if you want to implement the way that it's taught, like by singing or clapping or dancing or counting candy, you can take that too. If you find out that that way of teaching is actually better and easily retained, do it. The argument falls flat for teaching. Preaching, though, that argument, like she responded, are they pretending that they're their own? Are they taking paid sabbaticals? Are you taking time off from the ministry paid for by the ministry saying you're going to work on sermons and indeed you're plagiarizing? What did you go work on? What did we pay you to be on sabbatical for? You weren't seeking the Lord. You weren't getting downloads from Jesus. You were getting downloads from websites. Refund us. What is this? And this is why critical thinking is important. Independent thought is important because somebody will always make a weak argument to try to throw you off and feel like what you're bringing up and questioning is stupid or, doesn't have any weight or foundation to it. No, it does. He's a whole liar. He's literally putting himself in stories that never happened to him. That's a problem. He's not starting off these sermons saying, I'll be taking text from, or I'll be taking, this sermon from. None of that. He ain't doing that. And I personally prefer the Catholic way of teaching. I loved it when I was in school. I went to Catholic school my entire life. And we always had mass on Thursdays at school. And even though we were raised Pentecostal and we would go to church on Sundays, I liked the Catholic church teaching, even though I wasn't listening, because they had the book, right? But they would take their sermon or their, what do they call it? Oh, I can't think of it. But they would take that excerpt from a certain part and expound upon it. They would read the scripture or tell that story. Then they would expound upon it a little bit on what you should get from that. Like what the lesson is to be taught in that. Like how to apply it or, how to let that resonate in your spirit throughout the week and be done. All of this that y'all doing, anybody that needs to plagiarize or steal a sermon and lie about stories that never happened, that speaks to pressure that they feel to be performative. Because it's a lot of other religions keeping it real cute and simple. 15, 20 minutes tops. And getting the folks up out of there with the rest of the things that they may do in the service. But pastors today feel like they have to go the extra mile and keep you in there for 30 minutes to an hour and a half for a real move of God to be detected. And little do you know, God is nowhere near. But I digress. So I think that was great that was her response to what do you feel about teachers using lesson plans? That ain't the same. And you're not going to sit up here and make it sound like it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. I know it. She knows it. That first pastor she talks to know it. The second pastor is a little iffy because he probably buys some too. And you got to be okay with that. The people who know. But what I will say and leave you with today, when you find out, when you realize what you're dealing with, when it hits you in your shanana, when it's exposed to you, run. Don't ask. Don't ask. No questions. Don't wait for God to show you nothing else. Because people like to use that. I'm just waiting on God to show me. I'm waiting on God to direct me. I'm waiting on God to guide me. When things are revealed to you that go against what you believed about it, leave, because there's nothing else to be revealed. The only thing after that is for encore performances, for more of that to be, revealed and stacked. You get deeper. You get deeper into it. You start feeling worse. Then you're jaded at that point. You don't know how to get away from it. You start believing that is the norm. And you'll find yourself 10, 15, 20 years later, still stuck, still there, still waiting, still asking, acting as if, God is going to move some mighty mountain for you when you were exposed to the truth 10, 15, 5 years ago. And you play games in your own face. So when you see it for what it is not a sign for you to wait for somebody else to wave a green or white flag for you to leave. That's the red flag you need to leave. Grab it and walk. That's all. All right. So with the question of pastors buying sermons and plagiarizing messages, it is happening. I listed some of the websites that you guys can go to on your own to see it for yourself. It is not something that is a phenomenon. It's just something that makes me question people's true discernment. And really, why are you a pastor if you're not even connected to the source to get messages for the people that you claim God has called you to lead? There is no way God would have gave me the children that I have now if somebody else was meant to parent them. And that's all I have to say about that. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, subscribe to the channel. I would love to add you to my 2 cents crew. Until next time, I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.